A man frustrated with his marriage asks for a divorce, but then discovers that his wife has a terminal illness and only a few months to live. Now Carlos faces a situation he never imagined. Carlos was a dedicated supervisor at one of the most renowned cosmetic companies. His days were filled with meetings, product launches, and managing his team. He was known for his professionalism and the respect he commanded in the office. But everything changed the day Camila walked through the doors. Camila was a new intern, eager to learn and full of enthusiasm. She had an air of grace and confidence that intrigued Carlos from the moment he saw her. They first met during a product presentation. Camila had made an impressive suggestion that caught Carlos's attention. After the meeting, Carlos approached her. "Great idea back there, Camila. How long have you been with us?" "Just a few weeks," she replied with a warm smile. "I'm really excited to be here and learn from everyone." As days turned into weeks, Carlos found himself drawn to Camila's intelligence and kindness. They started working closely on several projects, and their professional relationship soon blossomed into a friendship. They would often stay late, discussing ideas and sharing stories about their lives. One evening, after a particularly successful project launch, Carlos invited Camila for a celebratory coffee. They talked for hours, laughing and enjoying each other's company. It was during this time that Carlos realized his feelings for her were deeper than mere friendship. "I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Camila," Carlos said, looking into her eyes. "I feel like we have a real connection." Camila blushed, her heart pounding. "I feel the same way, Carlos. I never expected to find someone like you here." Their relationship grew stronger with each passing day. They shared secret glances across the office, stole moments together during breaks, and texted late into the night. For Carlos, Camila was a breath of fresh air, a spark that had reignited his passion for life. But little did Carlos know, Camila was keeping a significant secret. She was the daughter and heir of the company's owner. She had chosen to keep her identity hidden to prove herself based on her merits, not her family name. As her feelings for Carlos deepened, the weight of her secret grew heavier. Camila struggled with when and how to reveal the truth to Carlos. She feared it might change the way he saw her, but she also knew that honesty was crucial for their relationship to move forward. One fateful evening, Camila decided it was time. She invited Carlos to dinner at a quiet restaurant, her heart racing with anticipation. As they sat down, she took a deep breath. "Carlos, there's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I haven't been entirely honest about who I am." Carlos looked at her, concern etched on his face. "What do you mean, Camila?" She gathered her courage and explained everything. Her true identity, her reasons for keeping it a secret, and her deep feelings for him. Carlos listened in stunned silence, processing the revelation. When she finished, tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry if this changes everything, Carlos, but I had to tell you the truth." Carlos reached across the table and took her hand. "Camila, I don't care about your background or your family's wealth. I care about you, the person you are, the person I've come to love." Relief and joy washed over Camila. In that moment, she knew their love was real and strong enough to overcome any obstacle. But as they would soon discover, the path ahead was filled with challenges they could never have anticipated. Carlos had always admired Camila for her dedication and brilliance, but nothing could have prepared him for the truth she revealed that night at dinner. As she spoke, Carlos felt a whirlwind of emotions: shock, confusion, and a pang of betrayal. "Carlos, I'm not just an intern. I'm the daughter of the owner of the company. I wanted to prove myself on my own merits, without anyone knowing who I really was," Camila explained, her voice trembling with emotion. Carlos sat back, trying to process the revelation. He had fallen in love with her honesty, her drive, and her humility. Knowing she was the heiress to the company made him question everything. Would people think he was just using her to climb the corporate ladder? "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. "I was afraid," Camila admitted. "Afraid that it would change how you see me, and that it would ruin what we have. But I couldn't keep it from you any longer. You deserve to know the truth." Carlos looked into her eyes, seeing the sincerity and fear there. He knew she had taken a huge risk by revealing her true identity. Despite the initial shock, His feelings for her hadn't changed. He still loved her, deeply. "I need some time to think," Carlos said gently. "This is a lot to take in." Camila nodded, understanding. "Of course. Take all the time you need. Just know that my feelings for you are real." The next few days were difficult for Carlos. He avoided the office, needing space to process everything. He wandered through the city, reflecting on their relationship and the future. He knew he loved Camila, but he also knew the scrutiny they would face from colleagues and the industry. Ultimately, Carlos made a decision. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions. He loved Camila for who she was, not for her background. He had to fight for their relationship. Returning to the office, Carlos sought out Camila. He found her in a conference room, nervously going over some documents. When she saw him, her eyes lit up with hope and fear. "Carlos, He crossed the room and took her hands. "I love you, Camila. Your background doesn't change that. But I can't stay at the company. I don't want anyone to think I'm using you for my career." Camila's heart ached, but she understood. "I don't want you to leave, but I respect your decision. Our love is more important than anything else." Carlos tendered his resignation that afternoon. It was a difficult choice, but he knew it was the right one. They couldn't let whispers and doubts cloud their relationship. As he packed his things, his colleagues speculated, but Carlos remained focused on his future with Camila. They navigated the next few months with resilience and determination. Carlos found a new job, and they worked on building a life together outside the shadow of the company. Their love grew stronger, untainted by external pressures. However, their journey was far from over. Life had more trials in store for them, tests that would challenge their bond and push them to the brink. Yet, through it all, they held onto the love that had brought them together in the first place. Carlos and Camila's love was strong, but life had a way of testing even the deepest bonds. When Camila became pregnant, they were overjoyed. It felt like the perfect culmination of their love story, a new chapter filled with hope and promise. They spent months planning for the baby's arrival, their excitement growing with each passing day. But fate had other plans. Late into her pregnancy, Camila experienced complications. Despite their best efforts and the care of her doctors, she lost the baby. The grief was overwhelming, a crushing weight that seemed to consume them both. The nursery they had lovingly prepared became a painful reminder of what they had lost. Camila retreated into herself, her sorrow creating a barrier that even Carlos couldn't penetrate. She spent hours alone, staring at the walls, lost in her thoughts. Carlos, struggling with his own grief, felt helpless as he watched the woman he loved withdraw. He wanted to be there for her, to share in her pain, but she pushed him away, needing space to cope with her loss. As weeks turned into months, the distance between them grew. Their once vibrant home was now filled with silence and unspoken words. Carlos buried himself in work, trying to find solace in routine and distraction. But every time he came home, he was reminded of the emptiness that had taken hold of their lives. One evening, Carlos found Camila sitting in the dark, tears streaming down her face. He sat beside her, reaching for her hand, but she pulled away. "I can't do this, Carlos. Every time I look at you, I see our lost future. It hurts too much." Her words pierced his heart, and for the first time, Carlos realized just how deep the chasm between them had become. "Camila, I'm hurting too. We need to face this together." But Camila shook her head. "I need time, Carlos. I need to heal in my own way." Carlos respected her wishes, though it tore him apart. He moved out, hoping that some distance might give them both the space they needed to grieve and heal. The days without her were long and lonely, filled with thoughts of what might have been. He missed her laugh, her touch, the way she made him feel whole. 2 years passed, and the pain of their loss slowly began to dull. But the distance between them remained, a constant reminder of their shattered dreams. Carlos, unable to bear the weight of their separation any longer, decided it was time to ask for a divorce. He wanted them both to have a chance at finding peace, even if it meant letting go of the love they once shared. When he arrived at her door, the sight of her took his breath away. She looked fragile, her eyes filled with a sorrow that mirrored his own. "Camila, I've come to talk," he said softly, his heart aching with the weight of his decision. Camila invited him in, and they sat in the living room, the silence heavy between them. "Carlos, before you say anything, there's something you need to know," she began, her voice trembling. "I've been diagnosed with a serious illness. It's in an advanced stage." The words hit Carlos like a punch to the gut. His resolve crumbled, replaced by a fierce determination to be there for her. "I'm not leaving you, Camila. We'll face this together, just like we should have faced our loss." In that moment, the walls between them began to fall. Carlos moved back in, dedicating himself to supporting Camila through her treatment. The road ahead was difficult, filled with challenges and uncertainty, but their renewed commitment to each other brought a sense of hope. As they navigated the trials of Camila's illness, they rediscovered the love that had brought them together. The pain of their past slowly began to heal, replaced by a deep, abiding bond that nothing could break. Their love story was far from over, and together, they faced the future with courage and hope. Carlos moved back in, his heart filled with determination and love. Camila's illness had brought them back together, and now they faced a new challenge, reclaiming their love amidst the battles they fought daily. Camila's treatments were grueling, but Carlos was by her side through every appointment, every sleepless night, and every tear shed. Their days were filled with small victories and tender moments. Carlos would cook her favorite meals, and they'd sit together, reminiscing about the early days of their relationship. Despite the hardship, there was a warmth between them that hadn't been there for years. The bond they thought they had lost was slowly being rebuilt, one day at a time. One sunny afternoon, as they sat in the garden, Carlos took Camila's hand. "Remember when we first met? I was so nervous around you," he said with a smile. Camila laughed softly, the sound like music to his ears. "And I was trying so hard to keep my secret. Look at us now, Carlos. We've been through so much." Carlos squeezed her hand gently. "We have, and we're still here, stronger than ever. I love you, Camila. I always have." Tears filled Camila's eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. "I love you too, Carlos. Thank you for standing by me." As weeks turned into months, Camila's health began to improve. The treatments were working, and there was a glimmer of hope. They celebrated each milestone, no matter how small, cherishing the time they had together. One evening, as they watched the sunset, Carlos felt a familiar flutter in his chest. He turned to Camila, his eyes filled with love and determination. "Marry me again, Camila. Let's renew our vows and start fresh." Camila's heart soared. "Yes, Carlos. 1,000 times yes." They planned a small, intimate ceremony in the garden where they had spent so many cherished moments. Surrounded by close friends and family, they exchanged vows once more, promising to love and support each other through whatever life threw their way. Their love story, once marked by pain and separation, was now a testament to resilience and hope. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. Shortly after renewing their vows, they received even more joyous news: Camila was pregnant again. This time, their journey was filled with cautious optimism and overwhelming love. They welcomed their baby boy into the world with tears of happiness and hearts full of gratitude. Carlos and Camila's journey had been anything but easy, but it had led them to a place of deep, unwavering love. They had conquered their past, faced their fears, and built a future filled with hope and joy. Their story was a reminder that true love could withstand any storm and that, sometimes, the greatest hardships could lead to the most beautiful new beginnings.